Guys, this might be a complete disaster, or it might be the smartest thing I've ever done. We're about to find out. So, I'm launching a new product, right, from scratch. Now, what makes this product different than a lot of my other products is that we are sourcing it with a local supplier and not someone from China. So, I want to take you on that journey, share where we're at, and ultimately where we hope to be in a couple of months' time, right? So the goal for a start is to develop a batch of simple products that will sell day in, day out, week in, week out, forevermore. Okay? Sounds simple, right? I don't know. We'll soon find out if it is or not. But that's it. The end, right? Now, finding local suppliers for products is very difficult. Like, you can't just go down to your local hardware store and ask them where do they get their products manufactured. Like, no one's making slow cookers or vacuum cleaners or microwave wall brackets in their shed. They're not even making them in their town, and ultimately they're not even making them in the country, right? You see, most people source their products from China. Now, the reason they do this is because China is super competitive, right? Pricing is just really good. If it was made here locally with local wages, the cost would be through the roof. But it's not even that. In China, they have developed a skill set for product development. That is now gone here. That used to be here, like in the UK, in Ireland, in Europe, in the US. People used to be able to make things. Whereas now, by and large, it's gone out to China, right? It's been outsourced. The global market, right? Now, if you've been reading the news recently, you will see that President Trump has been imposing tariffs on the US's nearest neighbors, Canada and Mexico, and also China. Okay. Now, his goal is to bring manufacturing back to the US, but I don't really know will that happen, right? Because from what I said, like, the products and the skills to make these products are in China, and you can't just, do that and they'll all move back, right? But I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, at least in the short to medium term, I don't see much manufacturing being brought back to these countries, right? Back to the US in particular. But for people like you and me, if we can find a supplier locally, is that not better? I actually think it is. If we can get a good local supplier to work with us, like, there's a lot of advantages. So, for example, generally, they can speak the same language, so we get a really good conversation going. There's no barriers there. Once we agree to go ahead with the order, we'll probably get it quicker because when it's finished, it's being picked up locally, not on the other side of the world. And it can take, if you're bringing stuff from China, if you're sending it via sea, you can see, 2 months, 2.5 months going just to get those goods to the UK, for example. But the reason, as I said, we're not doing this is because we've not been able to find local suppliers for the vast majority of our products. Actually, for all of our products, right? Until now. There's one type of good from doing my research I can still source locally, right? And that is liquids, oils, fluids. These type of things, I can find manufacturers in the UK or in the US or in Europe for these products. And that means that, yes, I can actually get these produced locally and quickly get them to market. Now, what is our advantage? Because obviously, if we are doing this, someone else is also doing this and sourcing from the same manufacturer. Like, how can we stand out? What I've found is that the market for liquids, oils, and fluids can be less competitive in terms of quality branding versus, for example, a vacuum cleaner or a power washer or all these kind of like high-end premium products, right? Now, I do recommend to focus on them, but this little project is about finding a reliable batch of products that we can sell for a consistent profit. Okay, so sourcing them locally is no problem. Okay, so let me run through what the product is, what's went wrong to date and what's went right, where we are now, and what I'm hoping will happen over the next month. Because if it doesn't, I've potentially lost thousands of pounds. So fingers crossed it'll all work out, right? So the product we are launching, I didn't even know it existed. And that's the beauty of researching for products online. The product is treadmill oil. Okay. So for your treadmill to keep running correctly, you need to oil various parts of it. I didn't know this. I go to the gym, I just run on the treadmill. I didn't realize someone was actually oiling up the treadmill when I was at home in bed at night, making sure that it was working for me every time. But apparently that does happen. And there are thousands of these little bottles sold every single month. So I looked at that market and I discovered that the vast majority of the sellers have very, very, I would say, subpar quality of branding. So there was no branding at all. And myself and Alex noticed is that when I create a YouTube video, if I don't have a good thumbnail, I don't get many clicks, right? If I don't get many clicks, I obviously don't get many views. And if I don't get many views, the video just dies, right? Well, a product is kind of the same. So if these products are selling consistently month in, month out with poor quality listings, to me, that means if I come in with a quality branding effort, I should get more clicks, which means I should make sales. That is the premise of where we're at, and that's what we're testing out here. So I've developed a brand along with my creative team called Grizzly Gear. Now, the beauty of this brand is that it can sell anything. It's going to start selling treadmill oil and silicone grease as its first suite of products, right? There's 3 products, 3 SKUs in that combination, okay? I think it's 250 ml and then 500 ml of the treadmill oil, and then there's the silicone grease, right? Once they're up and running, we can just keep adding more and more products to that catalog, to that batch. And if everything works out with our UK supplier, it's now at a stage where it shouldn't take too long to add a new product to that lineup. We started this process a couple of months ago, and I thought it would take about a month. 4 or 5 months later, we're here. And that again is a point in itself. Business isn't fast. It's slow and it takes time. And I think you just need to accept that if you're going to go into business. But aside, right? The issues we ran into with this product development was the supplier didn't have the correct containers for the oils the way we wanted them displayed. The supplier didn't have the correct labels the way we wanted our branding to be portrayed on the product, because that was such an important part of what we were trying to do. And number 3, the supplier ultimately had to outsource label manufacture from their own team to an external team. All these things meant that it's taken us a couple of months to get to this point. Now, where we're at the moment is the labels are en route. The supplier should receive them soon. And then the product will be going into Amazon as one point of sale, but it's also going to be going live on Shopify, and we're going to integrate our Shopify with our Amazon account. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. It's a kind of like I would say a bit of a wild card, because the margin on these products is not big, but the sales volume is high, which means that if we only make £2 or £3 per sale, but you sell 10 a day, that's still 30 quid, right? That's still 210 a week, about 840 a month. That is kind of the game plan here. But I can see us selling a lot more than 10, and that is just the UK. If this brand goes well in the UK, we can start adding these products to go live in Europe or go live in the US, perhaps with local manufacturers in those regions. And I see these as an additional play to our big brands, because the big premium brands, I see them as the long-term valuable assets, but there's no reason why this small brand may not become something valuable in its own right, but it's a different lineup of product. So that's it, guys. That is where we're at with this brand. Let me know what you think. Does this excite you? Because this is business. You have to be better than the competition. You have to be prepared to put in the work, and you have to be prepared to risk your money. I've seen some talk recently about, people that invested in online programs, and for one reason or another, it didn't work out for them. People need to take responsibility for their own actions. And this is me putting my money into a product. It may work, it may not, but either way, I'll learn and I'll move forward. I like the risk. But fingers crossed, guys, this will work out for us.